Very lucky that John has chosen me to speak today at his wedding. It would have been very difficult between myself and his hundreds of other mates if Clark could talk. I'd like to first, of course, start by saying how beautiful Abby looked today. Yay! Of course, her girls. Ben, your dad hasn't stopped commenting of how proud he is of you today, which I've translated for you all from John's earlier comment of Ben looks like a proper Man United lad. I'm sure you all agree the bridesmaids all look fantastic today, and I've been asked by Abby and John to give gifts to each of you on their behalf. Roz and Rhiannon have already received theirs, but Abby would like me to once again reiterate their thanks to all of you and for your hard work. So if Ruby, Evie and Natalie can all come up to receive their gifts. What a fantastic venue for what's surely going to be a fantastic day. It's actually not the first time John's been here. He's actually came a couple of weeks ago to work out what he was going to drink today. He told me he decided on San Miguel, which is San Miguel in English. It is obvious to us all why John would want to marry Abby, but it will remain one of life's mysteries why Abby would want to marry John. Abby works full-time at a children's nursery, which is why after a long day at work, it's only second nature for her to have to go home and look after John. Abby recently said, and I quote, "John makes me feel special. He is the special one." Unfortunately, she wasn't being romantic, actually referring to the moment she arrived home after work on her birthday to find the washing not done, the kids not fed, and John had disappeared off down camp. It was a Wednesday. John's Wednesday is arguably the busiest day of his week, in which he doesn't like to commit to anything. It starts with opening the gates to the pools at 8 AM, going back to closing at 5 PM, and a sleep in between, and then going down camp for darts at 6:30. Although, as Abby pointed out, he doesn't even play. John says this is because he likes to give the young and up-and-coming players a game. And of course that's nothing to do with the fact that he can't see the ball by the time we start. The camp, of course, is of great significance to John and Abby, as it was here where Abby worked behind the bar when they first met. And here they are after the longest courtship on record, and they have finally tied the knot in front of their 3 wonderful kids. Back then, John was a cow farmer. I know it's hard to believe now, but he was also a grafter. Getting to the farm most days for 5 AM milking, and not finishing until early evening. One thing's for sure, the locals at the camp, and Abby for that matter, will never miss the smell that lingered on John.
Looks like Brad Pitt!
The smell even became the subject of John's Amsterdam Stag Do anthem. And since then, thanks to my old man, it managed to work its way onto the football terraces at Worcester City. Unfortunately, it would be inappropriate to repeat now, but I'm sure it will feature at some point this evening. Talking of the Stag Do, I could stand here all night reciting hilarious moments during our time in Amsterdam, but I couldn't not mention a few things that will definitely be the highlight of our trip. John rocked up the Crown with what looked like a denim plumber's bag over his shoulder that read Country Roads. No one would dare ask John what he'd packed. There could have been anything in there. It wasn't until checking in for the return flight that we discovered what John had packed. A shirt and jumper, which he was wearing over the t-shirt he wore on the outbound flight, leaving an empty bag to be checked in, weighing 1.7 kilograms. He didn't even pack pants, because of course he doesn't even wear Whenever John and Skaz are together, there's sure to be banter. And Amsterdam was no exception. As we know, to say John has a disliking of Scousers is an understatement. And after a long period of time in a certain cafe in Amsterdam, John took to the streets to let his opinion of Scousers be known to pretty much every passerby. Propped up on one side by Dad and the other side by Steve. The next morning, John was reciting everything he could remember of the night. The two things he could remember was a rat apparently in his bin and a giraffe came for a midnight clean of the windows. John's lack of travel really showed in Amsterdam, especially when we returned to our rooms from lunch and said to his roommate Butch, "Butch, someone's been in our room." To which Butch replied, "Why? Have you had something nicked?" To which John replied, "No, but someone's made the bed." This was a perfectly understandable reaction from John, as the only two times John's previously stayed away from home were the sows at Leeds and Tottenham, where I don't imagine they make your beds for you. Skaz also became the self-inflicted victim of more verbal abuse from John, but to be fair, we all agreed we wouldn't be seen dead in those tacky M&S brown shoes. The stick Skaz got for those cheap vile shoes from John lasted the duration of the trip, and even to this day. It comes to something when John is giving out fashion advice. Now, although we know John loves Abby very much, we also know John has another love in life, which Abby has had no choice but to accept. It, of course, is Man United. Although we all know he used to be a Chelsea fan. John went home and away with United for years. He was the man in black. So I thought I'd check out what Manchester United were doing on this day in history. And you wouldn't believe it. On the 20th of August 1983, Bobby Robson scored twice in a game where United beat Liverpool 2-0 in the FA Charity Shield final in front of 92,000 at Wembley. Also on this day in 1971, George Best and Bobby Charlton scored to beat Arsenal in a league game played at Anfield. Yes, Anfield. United, for one game, you might not remember this, called Anfield home. This was due to the fact that United were banned from Old Trafford after the previous game versus Liverpool had ended in the United fans throwing knives at the Scousers. Feel like that? You won't stop talking about that all night. You could say that Abby and John today have been united. And now Abby is officially, of course, also being united with the kids. As a kid, apparently John was good looking. Although obviously looking at him now it's hard to believe. He was a very talented cricketer, something he inherited from his dad. Which has also been passed down now to Ben. We all know how much John loves balls, especially Alan's. John's mate Dan told me on many occasions of how games ended in a punch-up, as John enjoyed aiming for certain parts of the body rather than the usual stumps. John was and still is a talented darts player, also a passion he shared with his dad Jim. He won the Team Valley Singles Knockout competition in 2013, and I know I can speak on behalf of both of us when I say darts night's our favourite night out. I once took John to the Premier League of darts in Birmingham to watch all the big names. It was a standard night out with John, both passing out on the train and being chucked off at Shrub Hill. But still managed to squeeze in a brandy and pep in the cellar bar. Well, half a brandy and pep, as John forgot, as he so often does, that it's against the law to smoke in a bar. Hugh and Lynn would have been glad we didn't turn up back at the camp that night, as we so often do. They've had to tolerate John for many years, but I'm sure they both agree with me in saying the place wouldn't be the same without him. I thought on this day I'd compile a list of John's greatest achievements. Not surprisingly, it didn't take much time or paper for that matter, because of course those great achievements are Ben, Evie, Ruby and Abby. You're truly a fantastic family unit, and everyone here will always be there for you. You'll never walk alone. And I know that everyone here wishes you all the best in the future. Here's to finally Mr. and Mrs. Court.